All right, I want to jump over now there to Capitol Hill. There's been just a flurry of activity over the past 24 hours or so regarding the extension of Section 702, which is the spy powers law portion of FISA, which of course is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And joining us now to discuss where we are in all of this is Congressman Michael Cloud. He serves on the Appropriations Committee as well as the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. He represents the 27th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Cloud, my friend, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Good to be on with you, Jody. Good to see you. A lot happening.
All right, listen, yeah, there's a lot going on, and I know we've had some discussion about 702 and within the FISA. Yes. It looks like the House passed a 10-day clean extension of that. And the Senate's approved it. So what can you tell us about what's all unfolding right now and what happened last night?
Well, there's a number of people who have concerns, a number of people in Congress who have concerns about where we were headed. You know, when we revisited this a couple years ago, some reforms were put in place. We all know about the well-documented abuses of FISA, all the attacks against the Trump campaign and the like that came out of this, things that were really just criminal. And as President said when he was running for office, he said what they're really wanting to do is to come after you, but he was just standing in their way. And so we are working to make sure that we continue the process of cleaning up FISA to make sure that our intelligence agencies have the tools they need to go after foreign threats to the United States, but at the same time make sure that we protect the civil liberties of Americans. And so we wanted to see, a few things that I've been talking about is a need for a warrant requirement. There's an issue called the Fourth Amendment for sale, where intelligence agencies can, instead of collecting information and getting a warrant, just go out and buy your information from data brokers. That's a concern as well. And then one thing that's really important to me too is a central bank digital currency, and this would be the ultimate surveillance tool. And so felt this needed to be a part of this discussion as well. We made a lot of ground heading into the vote yesterday on the first one of those, on a warrant requirement, able to add a few more protections. With the protections that were made last time, you still kind of had the fox guarding the hen house in a sense. And so one of the things that got added was a way to have an audit and a review of that audit to have different eyes. You don't want the FBI basically grading their own papers, so to speak. You want somebody else to be able to look at that. And especially, we want this, it's not just about the Trump administration. We believe they're doing a good job by and large, but it's about future administrations and making sure that we don't see the bad practices we saw during the Biden administration, and making sure that while we have the chance, we put those protections in place.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand exactly what you're talking about here. We're talking about a violation of privacy, largely, among other things that are constitutionally guaranteed the American people. Isn't that really, in a nutshell, what this is all about?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. Sometimes when they're surveilling a foreign entity that could potentially be a threat, an American will get wrapped up in because maybe there was a phone call or something like that, and making sure that doesn't turn into a unwarranted investigation on American people. If, sometimes that could just be, maybe they were delivering pizza to somebody, or, that's kind of a funny example. But, some of those connections can be very benign, and you don't want surveillance on Americans just because they happen to be in a wide swath of data that was collected. We want to give them all the tools to go after real threats, but make sure that we're protecting American civil liberties. And so, again, especially because we've seen this misused so many times in the past. And so this is about getting the safeguards where they need to be, protecting those Fourth Amendment constitutional liberties as we continue to move forward. We don't want to see the bad practices that happened during the last administration happen again.
Yeah, and these are things that must be protected. I mean, they're constitutional issues. Do you think we're going to get over the hurdle in these protections in the next 10 days during the extension?
We did make a lot of progress in the last couple of days, just kind of ran out on the clock. And so that's why we came down to a couple more weeks. I'd like to see even maybe a couple more weeks, not too long, but maybe 3 or 4 weeks to really, FISA, when you get into nuts and bolts, it's very technical, it's very wonky, and a good portion of it is on the classified side. So those who are really working on this issue, we get in the skiff and have to go through a bunch of technical information on this to make sure we get it right. And you don't want to write this kind of legislation just on a whim real quick because you're up against a deadline. You want to get it right because every word has a legal meaning and a pretty big impact. And so the wrong way to do this is to throw a bill like this together at midnight and try to rush it across the floor, and that's why so many people had a concern. Again, conversations were headed in the right direction. We were making progress, but was not ready for prime time last night.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that, Congressman Cloud. And again, just a huge exclamation point on the emphasis you gave of the importance of every word being right on this, because this is a major issue. If I can turn real quickly to DHS funding, Senator Thune, Senate Majority Leader, is saying that he hopes to have a draft framework perhaps early next week for immigration enforcement funding. Your thoughts on what the Senate's working on? Do you know much about what they're planning?
There's talks about putting it into some sort of reconciliation package, perhaps just doing, ICE and Border Patrol in it. I have a lot of concerns about having something very narrowly tailored like that. And what that has proposed, one of the proposals is that would be, the other side of that would be an appropriations bill that would pass that would have the funding for those departments at zero. There's a big concern about us passing legislation through Congress that has a goose egg for an agency that we need and protects the safety and security of Americans, and the kind of legal quagmire that would create. This is not the way this should be funded. It was kind of the wrong way to go about it, isolating DHS in the first place. Unfortunately, the Dems, I think those who try to make that deal thought the Dems would realize the importance of safety and security of Americans, but unfortunately they would rather try to make things get bad, to make it look bad for the Americans. They're willing to put the safety of Americans at risk in order to somehow try to score political points out of this. And you hate to think that they're even hoping something bad happens, but it's almost what it seems like, that our border security is becoming strapped. Our DHS is in a very difficult situation right now. They're finding ways through the president's executive order to keep TSA employees working, but we're losing them. This becomes very difficult because the employees are trying to make ends meet, month to month, and pay their bills and serve the American people, and it puts them in a very difficult position. This really needs to pass. It needs to get funded, and ultimately, it really would help if the Dems would step up and just do their job.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Michael Cloud, Congressman Cloud, always great to have you. I know you'll be joining me and a host of other leaders from across the country for America Reads the Bible. Some 500 or so people will be teaming up for a week-long Bible reading, going from Revelation, from Genesis to Revelation, and you're going to be one of those. Listen, I look forward to seeing you for that, and thank you for your leadership in Congress and for the kingdom of God. Great seeing you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, good seeing you. God bless.